What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're talking about All Blacks coach Ian Foster not being sold on Super Rugby New Zealand. Now this I think comes as a shock because it was quite an exciting tournament with the level of intensity and competition was remarkable. I mean, we saw teams like the Highlanders turn around. We saw a shocking losing streak from the Chiefs. We saw intense battles of the Blues who really shone. And let's not forget the Hurricanes, leading from the front, TJ Perenara with Geordie Barrett, who scooped awards the other day. Amazing stuff. And then obviously your Crusaders, who are your most dominant provincial team in World Rugby, doing what they do best. Overall, the tournament for me as a South African and outsider, I thought it was phenomenal. It was absolute class. I enjoyed this tournament more than I actually enjoy Super Rugby, and that's even without the South African teams, who are obviously clearly missed, or definitely missed. But according to All Blacks coach Ian Foster, he reflected on the brutal nature of a Super Rugby, and is obviously concerned with the fact that how many players got knocked and got injured. So I can sort of relate to it, but I think we need to take into account that the injuries definitely occurred in this tournament due to the fact that these guys hadn't been playing physical rugby before that. I mean, they were off for months, and you've got to adapt to the new types of rules at the breakdown, etc., etc. Getting used to the physical contact again. And yes, they were in training before, but it wasn't to the level of intensity. And not forgetting the competition between these New Zealand teams is absolutely remarkable. I mean, they're fighting to every level to try and get a win. And even with the Chiefs getting defeated throughout the tournament, it still wasn't walkovers. There was no whitewash where you could say Chiefs' up game was boring. It was close battles, and although there might be a score over 10, it was generally in the last 5-10 minutes where a team would maybe score another try to extend that the lead. So it wasn't a walkover boring at all. But he did say, from an All Blacks coach perspective, what we've seen is great competition that has been perfect for 2020. He said it's quite frankly the only option we had. So I'm glad, he says, I'm glad it worked well. And it did work well. It was a cracking tournament. And I mean, I know we're talking of various options on what to do for 2021, whether keep Aotearoa or you create a trans-Tasman Cup or you keep South Africa involved in Super Rugby. We just don't know what the end result's going to be, but we do know there are plans for change and movement to try and spice this tournament up. And what we saw for New Zealand worked, and the product was good. The results from the fans in Dunedin and in Auckland were outstanding. Had it been a normal Super Rugby campaign and had it been no COVID-19, would we have seen the amount of crowds that we saw in Aotearoa? I personally don't think we would have. I think having rugby taken away from us for a few months obviously brought back the excitement. Having a competition of 5 solid teams, whether the Chiefs lost all the games, they're still a solid team. 5 great teams competing for a title. Seeing an opportunity where maybe the Crusaders could have been dethroned. Or a team like the Blues, of how they were second and at one stage top of the log. Or the Highlanders making the turnaround. It was phenomenal what we witnessed. And I think one thing's for sure, World Rugby, Super or Sanzo, New Zealand Rugby, South African Rugby, Australia Rugby, all the nations need to really work together on how to get a product that is going to be phenomenal for the fans. Hence my previous video on the tournament, saying it's gone into a mess because people are bored of it. What do we need to do to spice it up? So I went with the recommendation of what Australia said, a Super 8 tournament, 2 of the best, create something good, and keep Aotearoa, keep Rugby, Super Rugby AU, keep the Curry Cup version, and just create something good and unique that can allow fans to come back every year and say, boy, these blokes did a great job. This is worth coming back every year. And I think that's the thing. And I think from Ian Foster's point of view, obviously he's not sold on the idea because he's worried about the level of how these guys can beat it up. But one thing's for sure, the brutal nature is going to appear in any form of New Zealand tournament because of the level of competition of where these guys want to be. I mean, North versus South, that's going to take place either next week or in September. That is going to be brutal. That is going to be intense. You've got a rivalry of the North versus South that's happening for the first time in many years, where these guys are going to go balls to the wall and absolutely destroy one another because you want a dominance, a clear dominance of bragging rights, saying the North is the best or the South is the best. And watching these guys go to teams from where they started up is going to be exciting. And then you see the Barrett brothers going against each other. You see Richie Mwanga fighting Bowden Barrett. It is going to be phenomenal, and that game is going to be just as brutal, just as intense, and we're going to witness phenomenal types of rugby that will not only ignite the fans, but I think bring the New Zealand rugby community, which is already together, even closer together, because it's a game that hasn't been seen in a while. And I know there's a few that say, but this is from the old days maybe, and maybe rightly so. But bringing back that intensity, I mean, let's look at Lions. Having it every 4 years, it's exciting. It makes us want more. And just when we're ready for it, or just when it's gotten not a bit too much, but you've had overdone, it's gone for another 4 years. It's not repetitive. And it makes fans want more and more every year. And I think if they can sell the idea of Super Rugby Aotearoa, do something to spice it up, because obviously you've got the other provincial league for rugby, so how to incorporate the two, or how to formulate a product that can work extremely well, because you can do Aotearoa, or you can put more focus into the Mitre 10 Cup and see what you can create that way. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be epic, it's going to be exciting. So I think Ian Foster is just nervous rather than not sold on the idea. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a cracking tournament going forward if it sticks around. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure you enjoyed it if you're watching this. So we'll have to wait and see what happens for the future. I'm going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you real soon for another one. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.